everyone. On today's episode, we've gone capes. We're all wearing capes, well, most of us anyways. We're also going to be talking about the major Steam news that happened all week long, plus a redo of one of our most popular 10 things lists people have requested us to redo, which is Muppets to Film. This was a big week for Steam news, and we have Pocky D here because he's part of Neutral Gamers on the site, and he knows a hell of a lot more because I was kind of confused by some of it. So,
really?
Okay.
Oh, his brain is so tiny.
Let me start at the start. Their first announcement was the Steam OS. Now, my mind's thinking, why am I going to replace Windows 8 with Steam OS? That's the first thing I thought, seriously.
It's adorable, isn't it?
Okay, so to let everyone know, Gabe Newell said on Friday at a Linux conference, the Friday before that Monday's announcement, that he was going to make this huge announcement, that this was going to be the biggest announcement ever, and pretty much he lived up to it, every ounce of that statement. First started off on Monday with the countdown clock ended with the Steam OS. It's going to be running off Linux, and it's open source, and it's free for everybody. If you're a developer, you can use it. If you're going to make the system, if you're making the systems, you can use it. If you just want to own a Steam OS so you can have it on your computer instead of using that horribly crippling system they call Windows 8.
Hey, I have no issues with Windows 8.
The fact that
the thing that's
Notch
exciting,
and Valve
the thing that is really exciting to me is the console.
The console, no, not console, consoles.
Now, here's where I totally derailed. You're buying another computer just for your TV. Tell me who plays major games doesn't already have their TV connected to their desktop via like HDMI.
Okay, Gavin, you're looking at this kind of the wrong way. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get the concept of the personal computer out of its own personal room. A lot of people still have those.
I have an office at home.
Right. So instead of having two computers, or having the computer having to be moved or transferred, or having a large amount of wires where the computer can be have it via the television, you have one box dedicated to playing every Steam game and all the apps for the Steam OS. They've already announced they have huge development ties with several groups. They haven't named names, but of course everyone thinks Netflix, Hulu. There's even
basically what they're trying to do.
Any more systems.
Well, no, basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to directly compete with the big boxes that are coming out this fall, with the PS4 and the Xbox One.
I don't understand why.
Here's why.
Steam
Because
make
so
it
many
themselves?
people. So that they can own it, so that they can actually own their own property with things like that. So many people I know buy all their games from Steam, and if you buy a console game from Steam, it's a pain in the butt to get it from your computer that you just downloaded from onto your actual console. Now you can play as though it's a console game, and you can play it on your computer at the same time. I think that hardcore gamers, the kind of hardcore gamers that are like, it's a Steam sale, here's $500, I want everything.
I fell for that.
But those people are going to love it. Absolutely love it. And it's the right time. It's the right time because of the Xbox One and the PS4
And I agree.
out.
I do think it's the right time. But when they said you're going to get various levels of the Steam box by various people, I didn't quite understand why because it's basically just a high-end gaming computer.
Here's the thing about it, though. The reason that you have the different levels, and I welcome your input on this as well, is some people just want a PS4 replacement, and other people are going to want to be able to be a developer and mess around with it. You don't need to have that cost for the people that just want to play the games that you would have for the people that are going to be developing it and need a little bit more hardware.
I agree with that. I also think it's also, and Gabe Newell said it best, you can't make one product to fit everyone's need. That's physically impossible. To assume you're doing that is dumb.
That's why we have the Xbox and the PlayStation 4 coming out.
Which everybody loves.
Well, not everybody, and that's the point. I'm a huge
Screw you, PC gamer.
Well, I am a PC gamer, but the nice thing about being a PC gamer is the fact that with Steam being the OS, they've already announced they have 3,000 games.
That is going to be hugely appealing. And I feel that a lot of people don't want to play along with the Xbox One and the PS4. Like, you know what? I already own something. I've got my Netflix streaming on it. I don't need another console this year. This is competing directly with the people that feel that way but have a library of Steam games at home.
I think also the thing you got to look at is we're looking at the indie game revolution right now. I mean, the fact that indie games get as much press is like any of the major titles. Most of them, like Super Meat Boys, like the Notches, a lot of, and they're getting there. Faster than Light, as an example, a very indie game, started off small, but these guys are getting the press. The fact that the operating system is free, the fact that if you go through Steam's Greenlight, they will, if you get enough votes, they will waive the cost of getting on their system. We're looking at an ability for a indie developer with very little to no money get on to a system that allows them to get on better than the PS4 or the Xbox, where you have to pay
I feel
for
like
a
that's what the
developer kit.
Ouya was trying to do as well.
And it didn't work.
And well, the Ouya was nice. I like it. It's $99. That's nice. It was all indie games. This is going to completely kill whatever's left with the Ouya. I have mixed feelings about that. On the one hand, everything was indie on the Ouya, and they're very well intentioned, and I want to see more competition. Valve is going to do it better.
I agree, but I think the thing that I have my own opinions. What killed Steam, the Ouya. But what killed the Ouya was the fact that it was Android-based, and it was a system that was already too far behind the current system of the Android. I think that as a whole, what the Valve represents is a revolution that I don't think a lot of us really, and I'm saying this wholeheartedly, Valve represents right now a revolution that not a lot of people see what's going to happen until next year, because they're already saying it's going to come out by the middle of next year. And if Gabe Newell is the businessman that he is, he's going to release that right in the middle of the Steam sale. The first round system.
Of course he will.
It's going to have to happen.
It's going to, in fact, I guarantee it'll be bundled as well. Like, hey, you want to buy your Steam console and $100 worth of games, or $500 worth of games, or whatever.
So how much do you think an average Steam box is going to run? Because just like gaming PCs, you have to have certain stats to play certain games, and newer games have to have better graphics cards, better stats. So if you buy just a basic Steam box, will it be able to run these games like
My theory
regular?
is $400 or less. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Possibly $300 or less. They're going to have economy of scale. Because the thing that makes high-end gaming boxes so expensive is there's just not that big a market for them. Most people are doing console gaming rather than PC gaming. Once you're selling tens of thousands of them, you can bring that cost down.
I think also the fact that a lot of it is
Sorry.
That's all right.
Little Miss Hackathon.
I know.
It's fine. I think the part of it is, though, that you don't need with Steam a large amount of hardware, because most of it is streaming or very quickly.
You still have to have a good graphics processor, a good audio card. Those things cost money. That's why people invest in gaming PCs. So if you've invested in a gaming PC, you're going to invest in another one.
No, you won't. You'll still be able to play everything from Valve. They're not going to stop selling it to people that have on PC.
But they're pushing this whole Steam box as, hey,
you are being curmudgeonly because you don't want there to be another console out there.
I don't care about
I have to
console.
decide between two as it is. I'll buy them both. Don't make me think of a third.
Yeah,
actually more than
I'm actually thinking you're thinking a little too deep into this. I think really what it is, it's more like the handheld market. It's an option that is left open for people. If, like Gavin, you don't want a Steam box at all, and you're like, I don't want one of these things in my house. How dare you filth my house with these boxes? That's fine. But I do want a PS4, but I want the Steam box. I want that option to have multiple things at my disposal. I would like the option of playing Settlers of Catan, not Settlers of Catan, but like
Civilization.
Actually, Settlers of Catan is on Steam, but like I like to play like Serious Sam multiplayer with my surround sound and a 64-inch television. That would be cool.
And this is another, I think, evolution of the fact that our screens are changing their function at this point in time. We are no longer going to have 3 or 4 different screens. I think that it's going to be merging into one. I'll give it 50 years before people start calling it a television.
Yeah, and I like that fact, but the only part that I just really clung on to this week was the announcement of the controller. I am all about this thing. I don't know why. It's just, there's something about it. It seems like the perfect hybrid of computer and console controller.
Good.
It's the third final announcement, was Friday. Actually, yesterday at 1 o'clock was the controller. And the controller is very unique. Gabe Newell was very smart about this. After the announcement, he invited the heads of Sega America, EA, a lot of indie developers, and he said, here, play with this for 20 minutes and then tell everyone what you think and be honest about it. I think 3 guys consecutively said, this feels really natural and good, but you are going to have to give this a shot before you give it any negatives.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I don't play a lot of PC games is I don't like the keyboard. I am because I grew up with consoles. I'm used to that. Like when I tried to play Terraria, with a mouse and keyboard, I didn't know what I was doing. It took me forever just to get used to the Minecraft controls. So I think the idea of just the controller that I can use would definitely open me up to more ideas for Steam games, because I just don't like PC gaming controls.
It's the whole having letters on there that spell words. It just confuses him.
It's not just that.
The fact that I could do both, I could play on a console and the PC. It's just
I don't multitask well sometimes.
I've seen you eat. I'm aware of this. But to me, the fact that they said this will work with every game in their library, and you have to realize how many games are in the Valve
library.
Did you know that the controller, the center of the analog, there's no analog stick. We need to point this out.
It's all
There's no
touchpad.
It's D-pads. The center of the D-pads are actually buttons.
Yeah.
You can actually left click and right click by your left hand or right hand. There's bumper buttons and shoulder buttons. That's nice. There's 4 buttons. The Skinner screen is touch screen. So you could, if you need to make a circle or you need to highlight an enemy via control for your RTSs, it works really, really well. The thing they pointed out, though, with the Steam machines was that this machine worked with any controller on the market.
Yeah, so if you hate modernity or anything new, you'll be fine.
I'm going to use my Wii nunchuck on this.
Okay, good controllers. We need good controllers that aren't based off of
I don't even
gimmicks.
know if I know where the Wii nunchucks are at this point in time. They're somewhere in the house.
You strangled a dog with them and just left it in their backyard to
pretty much.
die.
I think the fact that it will work with the Xbox and the PS3.
I love how he's trying to continue. Go on, please.
Sorry. But the fact that it will work with the Xbox 360 and the PS3 controller shows really how much Gabe Newell is willing to work with the entire industry as a whole.
Yeah.
He's not trying to take
It's really
over.
important, in my opinion, to be able to say, hey, you've invested all this money in all these previous products. You don't have to throw all that away and spend a ridiculous amount on all these extra peripherals. That's the thing that pisses me off every time there's a new console out. Why can't I use my old controller? There's nothing wrong with it. It didn't die. It hasn't burst into flames. Yet. Not for lack of trying, don't get me wrong. But the real point is there's no actual software reason why it shouldn't continue to work. They just want an extra $60 out of me.
Well, I also, you brought up a point now. He's trying to work with as many people as possible. But they've already kind of done that one thing where you could cross, XCOM with the PlayStation 4. Why do you think they didn't just go with like a route, maybe, hey, you can start streaming your games to your PlayStation 4?
Because they want to own it all themselves, and I do not blame them in the slightest for that.
No, I don't either. And the thing is, you also have to remember, the gaming industry as a whole hates working with each other.
Yeah,
it's like herding cats.
It's like us being in the same room and not trying to fight. I know.
I feel the same way with many of my relatives. But they have.
You were probably watching, going, "We're not inviting him to dinner anymore."
No, trust me. Many of them don't know what public access is. They have. The real issue is, why didn't they allow allow the other consoles in? It's because they're control freaks. And Gabe Newell, if anything, he is a bit of a control freak, and it's been proven. But he loves his mod community. Mm-hmm. His mod community makes him more money. He's got games that were mods, and now you'd pay for those mods.
And on top of that honestly is going to be one of the great strengths of it, in my opinion, is the fact that the developers can come in from the very start, from before there's actually a console out there, because they're releasing the OS first, get some games prepared, get that original content for it. It's, in my opinion, it's very similar to the way that Apple handled not Apple, but the way that the app market tends to work on phones and whatnot, where it's like, hey, here's our OS, go have some fun with it, make some awesome things, we'll sell them later.
Well, also, if you look at the Linux community, I have several friends who are Linux users.
Do I have to? Because the Linux community, do go on.
But I mean, as in what they do with their products. The Linux community does
Vastly
wonderful things,
people.
I know.
add a lot to their products, and they edit. And I like to see what they do to the OS as they get to be able to mod and play with it and do different things. I've seen an OS that looks like the TARDIS controls. And I mean, you can play around with that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're just going to have to see what's going to come of it. I think it's going to be, if they did a Steam box that was actually affordable and worked well, I'd probably pick one up, because I do like Steam now that I'm totally brand new to it since the last sale. I bought so many things. But
and that's where they're going to sell it. Right there is everybody that every time there's a Steam sale, 50% off, I need all the things, give them to me now.
Yeah, so I think it'll be interesting to see how it goes, where it goes, and what's going to develop of it, and how much of the market is actually going to take over.